Hey guys, what is up? Aiden here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over a special compound called Retatrutide. You may have been seeing it all over the place, all over TikTok, people trying to get you to buy their peptides from their peptide website or the fake peptides which are on the TikTok shop. But nonetheless, a lot are actually extremely useful. Retatrutide being one of them, which I very much have experience with. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So Retatrutide, is it the most powerful fat loss drug yet? I am going to explain why I believe it's so. So let's get into this. Retatrutide is a triple agonist. You guys may have heard of Ozempic and Mounjaro. Those are semaglutide and tirzepatide. Ozempic is a GLP-1 agonist. It is a single agonist, so it agonizes the GLP-1 receptor, which basically just slows gastric emptying, severely reduces appetite. So it kind of works off of one vector. It's very effective for the people that use it. But, there are a few issues, specifically with muscle wasting, appetite suppression being extremely great. It doesn't teach people to change their eating habits is a big one. And Retatrutide won't teach you to change your eating habits. So definitely pay attention to that. If you just take these drugs and expect them to get you shredded without some pretty gnarly side effects as muscle wasting and looking like a scrawny, skinny stick after taking them, you got a world of hurt coming. Tirzepatide is going to be the dual agonist. It's going to target GLP-1 and GIP. So it's definitely more advanced. It's more effective in clinical trials, I want to say by 4 or 5%. So when people took Ozempic, they lost, I think it was 16% of their body weight over 48 weeks, so about a year. Tirzepatide, it was about 20%, and with Retatrutide, it's about 24%. So we're looking at a 8% increase, a 8% increase in total body weight loss. So if you were 200 pounds, you would have lost 50 pounds by the end of the year, 48. As a percentage increase over Ozempic, it's going to be 50% more effective. So we're looking at some truly astounding numbers here. Like I said, consider the evolution of Ozempic and Mounjaro. It's currently in clinical trials, so it's not available as an FDA-approved medication, but it is available through gray market peptide research websites. Some people who are lucky might be able to get in on some research studies and be able to participate in some study, like I said. That's just going to be pharmaceutical grade, but realistically, there's no difference if you're going through a reputable peptide dealer, so to speak. The science behind Retatrutide. So like I mentioned, the GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors. GLP-1 reduces appetite, slows gastric emptying, and improves insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is going to be a huge thing. There's a slide later on where I talk about my experience using this while bulking. And let me just say it massively helps out. GIP enhances insulin secretion and supports fat metabolism. And glucagon increases energy expenditure. So you're kind of coming at this from both ways. You're going to decrease your energy intake, but also increase energy output. So you kind of got the whole gamut of effects going on here, which really makes this drug something special and sets it apart from the rest of the GLP-1s that are currently available on the market. What happened when I used Retatrutide? So I've been on Retatrutide for about 4 months. I started at 500 micrograms a week. That was enough for me at the start to experience some appetite suppression. I'm not sure about the other effects. To be honest, I didn't really notice an increase in my energy expenditure on my daily calories. I kept losing weight at approximately the same pace. It just kind of shut off food noise and made everything super easy. This titrated up to 6 milligrams over 3 months. I got down to about 8.5% body fat, as confirmed by DEXA. I might throw up an image here if I can find it, but it was extremely effective in getting me lean. Zero food noise. Of course, you have to up the dose, but that's just kind of how these things work. They generally tell you to start at 2 milligrams, increase by 2 milligrams every 4 weeks, or when the appetite suppression effects start to wear off. There are some side effects that are associated with Retatrutide, but I got none of those, which I was very lucky to. And I probably am going to attribute this to starting out on such a low dose. Many people just hop straight into the 2 milligram dose, which is what's clinically recommended. But I would say start out at 500 micrograms. You're going to save some money in the long run. You're still going to get the appetite suppression, assuming you don't have the appetite of the Hulk. Yeah, I see no issues with starting lower. You can always increase the dose. You know, if you run into side effects, just back down. So for this cut, I started at about 215 pounds and I got down to about 195. 195 at about 8.5% body fat. I maintained my lean mass throughout this cut better than any other cut that I've ever been on. I maintained strength incredibly well up until the last week where, you know, I was getting pretty flat and depleted. Despite only being 8.5% body fat, I don't think I am meant for the shreds, so to speak. I hated being that lean. I don't even know if I was 8.5%. You know, the DEXA can be pretty inaccurate. I would pin myself more about 11 to 12%. Right now, I'm probably sitting around, 15. I don't know, give or take. And I'm using it during the bulk right now. And I'll get into that, like I said. And down here, there's just a note, no fatigue that would normally be experienced when dieting to low body fat percentages. Other than, the strength loss at the very end, I didn't have trouble getting out of bed. My days didn't seem super long. Everything seemed really, really normal, which really just made it super easy for me to adhere to my diet, made it super easy to stay consistent. And, if that's what you need, that's what you need. I'll 100% be using this for cuts in the future. I'll tell you that much. I can't even imagine cutting without it at this point, to be honest. I'm sure I could, but it would not be fun. How to dose Retatrutide properly. Like I said, start at 2 milligrams a week. That might be too high for some folks. I started at 500 micrograms. Honestly, go ahead and start at 500 micrograms. Like I said, you're going to save money in the long run. Who knows? Maybe 500 micrograms is enough for the first 2 or 3 weeks for you to experience appetite suppression, and maybe that's all you need from this. I would inject twice per week. The reason being, Retatrutide has a 6-day half-life, so if you inject on Sunday, the next time Sunday comes around, your appetite suppression is pretty much out the window. And if you do 2 weekly injections, it really minimizes a lot of the food noise at the end of the week. And for an example schedule, Monday and Thursday, 1 milligram each for 2 milligrams for the entire weekly dose. That is what I would start with. Go ahead and titrate up accordingly. I would just titrate up by 2 milligrams at the end of 4 weeks if you're starting to run into appetite issues. Of course, you can increase it in 1 milligram increments. Really, this is your oyster. Choose how you would like to do it. There's just a few general guidelines which I've laid out here, which I think are really beneficial and helpful. Yes, you can use Retatrutide while bulking. I'm currently running 1 milligram of Retatrutide during this lean bulk. I don't know how lean it is per se. I'm eating about 3,500 calories, gaining about a pound a week. And I can say that my insulin sensitivity is a lot better. I'm going to be getting blood work here in 2 weeks just to see what my fasting insulin is and my fasting glucose, to see how those numbers are looking. And my A1C. Last time I got my fasting insulin done, I was pretty deep into the cut, and it was like 2 units, something like that. So it was actually low. And then my blood glucose was perfectly fine. It was 85. A1C was perfectly fine. It was like near the bottom of the reference range as well. So if you're a diabetic, man, these drugs are absolutely incredible. At 1 milligram, I'm not really noticing any appetite suppression. I'm injecting it once per week, so I don't get a stable level of appetite suppression just in case. So that 1 milligram is just on Wednesdays, and that is working extremely well. Is Retatrutide too good to be true? Let's go over a few of the pros and cons if you're considering running this. Pros are rapid fat loss, less hunger, better portion control, supports insulin sensitivity, and muscle retention compared to all the other GLP-1s. That is not an excuse to eat like crap just because you retain muscle better on Reta. you're still going to need to consume a lot of protein, preferably 1 gram per pound, and you shouldn't have any muscle wasting issues. Cons, GI side effects. A lot of people get nausea and vomiting. I've had a few friends who have taken this who, yeah, it's not pretty the first week, their first injection. That's why I recommend starting out low and slow. Expensive. Retatrutide is expensive. If you do not have a good source for it, you're looking at about $100 per 10 milligrams. $10 per milligram. It's about $20 a week. You know, there's more expensive drugs that you can run, but you know, if you're running 6 milligrams a week like I was, you're going to be burning a pretty deep hole in your pocket. Still in clinical stages. This is another con. We don't exactly know long-term effects, but extrapolating from other GLP-1s, I wouldn't be too worried, but 100% do your research and take everything into account. Who is retatrutide for and who should avoid it? Retatrutide is best suited for obese individuals, especially if you suffer with type 2 diabetes. This, might just be a one-stop shop to fix it. Advanced lifters during aggressive cuts. If you're a lot smaller of an individual, you're probably going to have to cut less body fat. But if you know you're going on these big bulks, you're getting up to 230, 240, 250 pounds in the off season. This can make that a lot easier. Of course, those first few weeks aren't going to be hard at all on the cut because you just want to stop eating. But you know, when you're getting near the end, maybe you have a show, you're going to step on stage soon. This is going to help immensely. I know Nick Walker used this for his previous 2 preps during the New York Pro and the other one where he took second. But I mean, he's just looking absolutely incredible these days. So if Nick Walker's using it, you know, there's probably some truth behind the compound. This is not ideal for people who are unwilling to conform to the lifestyle. You need to change your eating habits. You need to eat healthy. You need to eat high protein. You need to eat in accordance to how anyone else would eat on a diet. This is not a magic pill or injection, rather. You're still going to need to put in the effort. Of course, you'll lose weight, but if you want optimal results, heed those words very closely. And anyone expecting magic without effort, that just kind of goes without saying, and I kind of just covered that. This is not a one-stop shop to fix all your issues. If you still eat McDonald's and somehow eat through the appetite suppression, you will not lose weight. At the end of the day, losing weight is a math problem. It's calories in versus calories out. And some people are just going to eat through the appetite suppression because they have bad habits. You see it all the time with those people who get their stomach sewn really small. They just stretch their stomach back out. You know how that happens? They eat through the appetite suppression because it's got to hurt like hell. And I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions about retatrutide, leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. If you're looking where to source retatrutide, just go to ChatGPT, ask it for the best gray market peptide websites, and it'll give you a few good options there. With that being said, if you made it this far, thank you for watching the video. Go ahead and like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. As always, it helps with the algorithm. So yeah, thank you all and have a great day.